Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Looks like we got a couple liquor licenses on here. Pretty straightforward. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Grant, you on the phone?
You turn that on.
Is it phone?
Yeah, it was,
Grant, are you on the phone?
This is Pete Franks from Franks Design Group here. I'm not sure if Grant's on or not.
all right, well, we have to discuss the decision to award a bid for the CDBG Colony County facade rehabilitation project.
Sounds like Grant might have just.
Grant, is that you just jumped on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so we're on your item right now. Is there anything you want to discuss about it?
I would just say that we had the June bid opening last Thursday at 2, and we received 4 bids. Little bidder was Cornerstone Commercial Contractors from here in Iowa. I don't know if he's on the line. He might.
Yeah, I am, yes.
Yeah, I would just say if you want to add any additional details, that was more or less what the agenda item was about.
Yeah, so we prepared bid letter correspondence with the bid tab that I believe was included in your packet for this week. Where we are with this is that, as Grant said, we opened bids. We received 4 bids, with an indication that this was competitive and there was a lot of interest in the project. Our low bid is Cornerstone Commercial Contractors out of Corning, Iowa, and they're a firm who has experience doing facade projects. They've done quite a few of them, so we're comfortable with their qualifications to be able to do this. At this point, what we're seeking from Pottawatomie County is your authorization for us to formally notice an intent to award to Cornerstone, to signal to them that the county intends to enter into a contract. So this isn't an award, this is an intent to award. The award would follow, and then the actual contract would be the third step in the process.
What was the proposed cost or estimated cost of this project?
Our pre-bid estimate was $709,000. Our low bid was $454,000.
Yeah, wow.
What is the plan for you on the alternates? Are you going to accept those? And
well, we need to get with the individual property owners where we have alternates, but most likely we will be exercising all of the alternates because we've got the budget to do so.
what does the remove sub-project mean?
That's for the U.S. Bank building. We have posed the question to the city that the U.S. Bank in Carson ceased business operations at that address, so they're no longer a going concern as far as a bank. And that came to our attention right as we started the bidding process. So we were looking for confirmation from the city and the property owner that they wish to remain in the project, and we haven't received word back of whether or not they wish to remain in. So if the scope of work at that building is rather light, there's some masonry restoration and some glass work there. But if they're not wishing to participate in the project because they're no longer using that building, we have that as an alternate in order to pull it out of the project before we actually award the project.
So are you looking for a motion to approve the bid for Cornerstone Commercial Contractors, including all alternates? Is that what you're looking for?
At this point, what I wish to get from the Board of Supervisors is an authorization that we can issue a notice of intent to award.
Okay,
So we're not talking about the alternates or the dollar value. This is just acknowledging that they are the lowest responsible contractor, and we intend to award to them.
Okay, just one other question. So the alternate 5 project duration adjustment, that's a value that's if the project goes longer than what was anticipated then?
It's actually an adjustment for the project to go faster. That's to move it 60 days faster than what we have in as the 270-day contract duration.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Pete, what's the name of the outfit? Cornerstone what?
Cornerstone Commercial Contractors Incorporated.
Okay.
do you want a motion for the intent to award the bid? Is that correct?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
All right, got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Okay, motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Well, we will be back to follow up with the actual award and then the execution of the contract in subsequent weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Okay. Next on the agenda, we have Jason Slack, Director of Buildings and Grounds, and Wyatt Burgess with ETI. Discussion decision to approve change order on the fire sprinkler system in the 911 Communications Center.
Before you guys, you should all have a revised fire sprinkler or fire suppression system change order. We would not like to sign that today. I'll let Wyatt go into some detail on why that is.
Yeah, so in the 911 area, we have an existing, there's 2 large lines that cut through the 911 call center area. We weren't able to see these prior to construction because of try to design because the space was occupied. The goal and the original intent was to try to reuse all those mains as possible. Once we got into the ceiling, and the ceilings were opened up, there's 2 of the 2 main lines. One of them is a large 4-inch line that goes over and serves a standpipe in the stair on the northeast corner of the space, and then there's the main line that actual serves the space. Unfortunately, the standpipe line is too low once we get the raised floor in for the screens that are supposed to sit on the north wall for the operations folks. So that line has to move no matter what, and the most cost-effective way to move that one is actually to do a new line that cuts through an office space where there's some lower beams. The main line, the original thought was to put a new line in, which is what this original change order was based on. We've actually identified the ability to route in a different location and reuse that line. So it ended up kind of wrapping around the south and east side of the space, so it'll be low but only in a few spots, and it won't obstruct any visibility. So the thought is we will reuse that line. So that'll save a few $1,000s off of what this current change order has. We weren't able to get the paperwork in time for today.
We're moving that pipe somewhere else.
So we're just moving it instead. We'd still have the new standpipe line, which will be out of the way and out of that space completely. So you'll have one low spot where you're probably at about anywhere between 7.8 to 7.9 below the pipe. But it's only in that one location probably when you enter the space on the south side. So that'll be kind of the best of both worlds in terms of cost savings and still maintaining head heights and visibility.
So what will be the total cost of that change order then?
So the number I've been given right now is $10,000 as opposed to the 12,700.
10,000 even?
Well, that's the estimate I've been given. So I've asked for paperwork today to get that formalized, and hopefully next week we can get that addressed and formally signed off on.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
So the motion would be to not exceed 10,000?
I did
Or
change
not to
it.
exceed the 12?
Well,
How do you want to do that?
well, it might exceed 10 by a little
Why don't we
bit.
do-
Yeah, it could end
My
up being.
recommendation would be just to not to exceed the number that you originally gave us, and then that way it
Okay.
gives you a little bit of buffer, and that way we can still move forward with it.
Okay,
Is that fair enough?
That'd be great, yeah.
Is that
That's
okay with you? Okay. So I got a motion, is there a second?
Sure.
Okay, motion is second, any discussion? So just for clarification, Mr. Auger, the not to exceed amount would be $12,075.
right.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Well,
12,732.
Right.
yeah, 59, right?
Yeah.
1270.
I'll leave that number in there and say not to exceed.
Yeah. Okay, so 12,732.59. Okay, it's got a motion second, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Well, second that.
Uh,
Wickman did.
Mr. Wickman did. Thank you, and it's good that you guys are able to reuse some of that piping down there. I mean, it makes it a lot easier to refabbing that out, so. Okay, so next we got Jason Kidd, Director of Buildings and Grounds, and Matt Wyant, Director of Planning and Development. Discussion on public health space for winter preparation. Which one do you want to kick this one off?
So currently, we're operating out of the community services building on the second floor. On the second floor of the community services building, there is no heat. And so looking forward as to what the Board of Supervisors would like us to do for winter. I don't see this as being something that's gonna be over through the winter. We're gonna have our same amount of team members up there operating straight through. So there's really two different options. We can either look to lease a space and move over into something different, or Jason reached out and got a price on what it would be to add a furnace to the second floor like they did on the ground floor. But I don't want to overstep any boundaries or go out of my way, so I'm just looking for directions of the Board of Supervisors on if you would like me to look for another space. I can certainly reach out and do that, or what direction you would like us to go with Jason and Buildings and Grounds to modify the building for us to stay there.
What's that number look like?
If we're just adding a furnace to the second floor, we're looking at not to exceed $15,000.
So is that a recoverable expense?
We could use that into our recoverable expenses right now.
And then, hoping we don't go to another winter, the furnace would still have some, value.
Of course. Yeah, both, we would have two furnaces. If we decided to abandon this building, we would have two furnaces to put at another location, where that be in conservation or roads or something like that, so.
Okay, so does that existing furnace on the first floor, does that have the capacity to heat the second floor?
Does not.
Just a question, what is the city doing with the space that used to be the planning department above?
They went to the fire department.
They remodeled it into the fire department.
So it's being utilized now? I just don't think that might be.
Well, they'd have to move all their operation out of there.
Yeah, I'm just, there's office space there, that's why I was asking, maybe we can.
I don't
lease
say
it.
everybody knows where you're at now, but I mean, it's close by the rest of the campus here and stuff. Getting a 6-month lease is not gonna be real easy, I don't think.
Right. What's, Jason, so if we were to reuse this furnace somewhere, where ideally would you put it? Because obviously this building at some point is getting torn down and it won't be existing anymore, so.
I don't have a location right now where we would use them.
Because I would just ask that if you size it for something that we realistically could use down the road again.
Well, I can get a hold of Mark and maybe talk to John and see if they have a use for it somewhere. Right now, in any of our buildings, we don't have a use for it.
Or shoemaker maybe might. You get my point, I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, we
drop
can,
money, might as well.
if we don't use it, I mean, it's got whatever, one year of service on it, whoever sells it to us, I'm guessing gonna be able to find a home for it. I mean,
I just don't want to see it in the dumpster, so,
God, I hope not.
No.
well, never mind, I'll do it right now, but. Anyway.
But all the ductwork's in place, it just needs to,
No, we would have to run, that includes the cost to run ductwork in the hallways like it is on the first floor.
okay, so.
What's your recommendation? I mean, what do you want to do, Matt? I mean, would you rather pursue putting the heat in?
Well, I'll be perfectly fine with whichever direction the Board of Supervisors wants. If you guys want to add a furnace to there, we can stay in that space. Ideally, I mean, it is nice being on the county network, having the county phone lines already set up. I mean, we're pretty comfortable where we're at. Just the fact of, I wanted to make sure we planned ahead because it's starting to get chilly in the mornings, and as long as we have heat there. we'll be fine. I just didn't want to be stuck with a bunch of space heaters sitting around.
Sure Garfield.
That, and some parkas and some mittens and stuff.
Right. It was pretty chilly when we started in March.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to repeat what we did.
No, I wasn't aware that didn't have a heat up there.
I wasn't.
It never
either.
has
I
had
didn't
either.
know that.
Oh, we did, when we had the boiler working. The boiler was deemed unsafe by the state boiler inspector, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that was last year, so we did some work to the boiler.
The boiler doesn't work at all?
Yep.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
No, it's shot.
Oh.
I guess, where would this thing go?
Right now, we're looking at, the state has some storage up there. I was gonna get with Bob Gass and see if we can't take up a little corner of his storage area and then come through the wall there with the ductwork.
Have you been in that room?
Yep.
I didn't
Yeah, we
think
took a look at it the other
there-
day.
I didn't think there's any room in there.
Well, the state's got a couple different storage
Oh,
areas.
okay.
This is one on the second floor.
How much storage they got over there, state?
They've got one on the second floor and one on first floor.
Is that into perpetuity, or do they move stuff out of there and it gets,
There were evidence from homicides they have to keep forever.
they have to keep it forever?
Yeah,
We,
tires
and we're the
loose
custodian,
antlers.
we're the custodians of that, the county?
They have blue sailors?
I don't know, just a
Pardon?
unconceivably weird crap in there from, homicide cases.
No, I understand that, but we are the custodians of that into perpetuity.
I presume we are here to offer space to the courts and,
Space and storage are,
yeah.
um,
Well, it's probably a gray area as to what we're supposed to allow them as far as space. I don't know.
I've had
Probably
has it-
conversation and we
and I
are
haven't been
required
here
to keep
as
it.
long as how much has it grown over the years?
They're actually reducing the amount of storage they're using. First floor is where they keep all the murder homicide stuff. Second floor is more files, and they seem like they're digitizing more and more of those files and getting rid of them. It's not as full as it once was up there.
Okay.
Honestly, so you already have bids, or you still need to go get more?
I got a budgetary number is what I have. I don't have an exact number right now. I told them I wanted to get a budgetary number to bring it to the board.
I'd feel more comfortable with you getting some bids and then us coming back and having some discussion. I'd like to like physically go see some of this and look at it. I mean, I think it'd be helpful too, just, this is what Scott does for a living. I think it might be helpful just to kind of understand what could be available out there before we make a decision on it.
You mean as far as,
Just if there is anything in the public that, I don't know, I mean, it just might be worth our time.
well, the cost of moving and tying up with the network and that's gonna be,
The Omni Center can put us in there for $14 a square foot.
Right, that's
at
what it-
25 Main Street, where Iowa West used to be at, their office there. They would put us in there for $14 a square foot, which equals out to be $7,000 a month in
Yeah,
rent.
it should, clearly exceed what it costs to do a furnace, so. Either way, I'd like to go see it and just maybe get some bids.
Whenever you'd like to walk through, just let me know.
hey, you last week or 2 weeks ago, I mean, you have to be a really sharp-eyed person to tell the difference in those bricks between this stuff, I mean.
I couldn't tell the difference, but I'm colorblind, so
Well,
I don't trust my judgment.
Well, let's not, slow that down, those bricks are fine, whatever they come up with it.
Well, it's the closest match that they could find,
Good,
so.
get her done.
How much longer
So
will the
you want a
driveway?
motion on this thing?
I don't think you need one, it was just discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that?
How much longer do
You just need to allow to kind
Okay.
of get bids.
That's a daily thing.
Okay,
We're taking that day by day. We'll open it up when
when you can.
they say it's safe to go through there, you know.
Okay. No, I just,
This
voters
this
ask.
could probably go fairly quickly, I don't know what it takes to do it for sure, because
I'll take
if
my-
you look at kind of the month forecast, it's gonna get
Yeah.
pretty cool here, looks like in another week.
Okay.
I mean, it's
well,
already September.
So get some bids, timelines, and then we'll bring back next week. A week, okay? Any more time in a week?
I've got till Wednesday to get it in if I'm going, because of the short week, so,
Oh, yeah.
maybe better give me 2 weeks.
Come on.
I know I can get one right away. It's the other ones, I don't know how fast contractors are gonna be able to get out here and meet me, so I'll try it.
Let me know.
Yep.
Not a big deal.
We can always take it off,
You guys can wear sweatshirts.
take it off the agenda.
Garfield will
So if you
check your
request to get
space
put on,
to make sure they're legit.
and you don't have the bids, we can take it off.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
No pressure. Okay, thank you guys, appreciate that. Thanks for looking forward, Matt. I think that's a smart move. So we're on item D. Matt Wyatt, Director of Planning and Development, and Doug Reed, Director of Emergency Management. Discussion decision to approve and sign Resolution 77, 2020, a resolution requesting reimbursement for the Iowa COVID-19 Government Relief Fund. Maybe one of you two want to?
So this is just a resolution on the CARES funding that Potawatomi County is eligible for. The amount stated on there is the total amount that we would potentially be eligible for. Working with Skylar Dooley and Wood O'Brien have been working on this to delineate out what's getting billed to FEMA, what's gonna get billed to CARES. Right now, we really do not have a large amount of CARES expenditures that would go for what this is, what this amount is. So what we did is we reached out to Jason at Buildings and Grounds and we said, you know, what about upgrading our water fountains? Any more handicap accessible doors, you know, touchless doors to open? What about we reached out to David from IT and we said we need to look at all of our meeting rooms and figure out what technology we can upgrade in our meeting rooms to make sure that it's simple and easy to connect, to run any kind of Zoom, go-to meetings, anything like that. All of our meeting rooms should be capable and ready to move forward with those. So we do not have final numbers on those different items, and then I reached out to John and Mark this morning about their facilities, and if they have drinking fountains out there, what can we do out there? David already had their kind of meeting rooms, ITs tied up in a list for us.
So these would be like upgrade to like the water bottle type where you stick your thing under it and it's automatically fills your bottle or whatever?
Yeah, touchless water fountain like that, water bottle filler. And these are the ones that Jason was looking at, they kind of have a dual, so you can cap one side, turn on another, and then they have a UV piece that you can opt for if you want to do UV disinfectant, things like that.
Is Jason, did he walk out to see Melissa, do you know? Is this incorporated? He did.
Hold on, I'll see these.
Is this incorporated into the new B-wing then?
No, because what you guys already have budgeted for that, we cannot turn around and claim it on the CARES piece of it. But like Suzanne has got for her meeting room down there, she has her own CARES dollars that she's working out of. And so that's where she's getting like her meeting room upgrades and pieces out of that, because she's looking for ways to spend the CARES dollars that they have as well.
No, well, I'm not wanting to, if we aren't putting those water fountains in over there, then we should.
Right.
And then whatever the difference is, and the air handlers and some of those other things you talked about.
Yeah, that was another piece that Jason from Buildings and Grounds suggested, was about the air handlers. He called them a GPS that can basically scrub the air as it goes through. So he's getting a quote on those for those buildings. But we have timelines on these that we have to meet as well. So it's how can you get the equipment in and get it installed within the timeline set forth by the state and federal government, and making sure that we're in compliance with all of that in case we come up against an audit. But
So this would be to be an up to just shy of 1.2 million.
correct.
So all these things you're talking about would fit under that 1.2.
Well, 25% of it's been gobbled up, is my understanding already, by personnel. we're allowed to use 25% of our personnel costs, right?
With everything that we've gone through with our consultant, we have about $900,000 left.
Okay. Okay, here he is. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess the question was, and I was curious that, he's talking about these water fountains and some air handlers and some technology and stuff. Are those going in to the B-wing?
Water fountains?
Those, yeah, those,
Right now, we're trying to do some research on that. They were supposed to have been included. Doesn't look to me like they included, water fountains on the first and second floor. I remember having a discussion with Kim, so I don't know kind of where we're at with drinking fountains there with the renovation.
Maybe it wouldn't even be that big of a upgrade, right? I mean, the sinks and all that would be able just to tie right into that line.
Well, you just gotta run plumbing and electrical to them.
yeah, but it don't.
That's
I
not
mean, were there no water fountains over there before?
There was two, there was one on each floor.
Well, then, it makes it clearer for us if they're not a part of that project right now, then we'll be able to get the equipment and have them installed. So,
Well, I can't hardly believe what they expected. You know,
I'm shocked they worked out of the building for as long as they did, so.
okay,
Matt, is there a deadline or a time frame for this first, funding request for the
So there's two different timelines set out for us. The first cycle goes through, we have to have certain steps done by September 15th, and you can have your initial, whatever your initial expenses in there by September 15th, and then there's another deadline in October. We're more gonna hit the October deadline. This has all been fairly quick together.
So this is for the September 15th deadline, right?
Correct. We have to have this resolution passed.
Okay. And then you'll work on additional costs for the next timeline deadline?
Skylar's got some timelines set out. He's gonna have everything, he wants to have everything built out by September 10th, but we are going to, because we're looking at these different parts, like the drinking water fountains, the technology upgrades for our meeting rooms, there's no way we're gonna have those done by September 15th. So we're gonna be into October with that second go-around of what this is.
Okay.
I also think, and I mentioned this to Scott kind of right before the meeting, if we are unable to kind of get these amounts up, I think that we need to reach out to our community partners, maybe whether it's the Micah House or the Timothy House, and say, can we get water fountains for there to help you upgrade? What equipment? And it has to be equipment. It can't be project-based, because we have to be able to spend this money and then we get the money back from the state. It's a reimbursable piece. So that's kind of part of this, is we'll have to have a line item set up to where we can have that 1.2 million in there and we're gonna expend those funds. The state is then gonna reimburse us. They say it's gonna be a very rapid process. It's a form you fill out with your supporting documentation, you submit it in, they shoot you the money back. But we'll get it approved to make sure that Wood O'Brien believes it meets the criteria set forth by the state before we even expend the funds, so then that way we're more confident that we're gonna get a reimbursement from the state on that.
Is that 100% reimbursable?
Yes.
So this is just CARES funds. What, are there gonna be some expenses that we submit for FEMA?
The majority of our expenses are going to FEMA that we've already expended. So that, like I said, that's the part Skylar's gonna have filed all by September 10th. It's at Whit O'Brien right now. Whit O'Brien's going through the review process and the forecasting. So the forecasting our expenses all the way out through December, and that full amount is gonna get billed to FEMA.
Is that 100% reimbursable too?
It's not
What is it?
75.
but then the state picks up, I don't know what that number's gonna be, but the state's gonna pick up theirs.
You guys are like tracking this number though, right? Like what it's gonna ultimately be?
Yeah, it's pretty much
County.
spreadsheet hell right now. I mean, there's reports and.
It'd just be nice to know, okay,
Yeah.
this COVID cost us $1 million by the end of it.
Well,
we agree to
yeah,
reimburse.
there will be. I mean, right now it's broken down as far as each individual employee, what the regular hours were, what overtime hours they've had on it, any of those things, and, you know, and that can adjust from the time starting in March through June, then the pay raises. I mean, it's everything that gets submitted is extremely detailed, and.
But I mean, are we budgeted for everything else? Like, that's where I'm going with it. I mean, are we, besides all the reimbursement, is the budget that we gave to public health for this COVID stuff, is that enough to cover the difference?
So far, right now, it has been, yes.
What,
We had the original $400,000 to start out with.
Yeah, that's all, yeah, okay.
We spent approximately, I think it was, we spent up until June 30th when it transitioned over, I think we were at like 180,000. And then they rolled the rest of that money over into this budget year, and then we're still operating off of those funds right now.
those are those reimbursable, the money we had allocated then?
Yes,
So we're gonna get all that back,
correct.
or is that FEMA?
We're gonna we should get all of that back and then some, because we had other budgetary expenses on top of that.
Okay, and then you said Suzanne got CARES funds too?
The region did, yes.
Oh, the region did, do you know what that number was?
1.8 million,
They got 1.8?
yes.
Wow. And her
And she's been working with Widow Bryan as well, and they just had they brought in all the policy team members to set up the programs, because they'll submit out to, you know, Suzanne can talk more about it, but they'll
Sure.
submit out to like the schools and things to be able to fund some projects at those, but it's really hard with this CARES funding because of these tight deadlines. I mean, you have to be ready to go, and you have to be able to show that this went for COVID pieces.
Did your board, did Suzanne talk about the 1.8 that they received at the mental health board? Did she indicate how they were gonna?
No, all they mentioned was they had received it, so.
Okay, Chairman Schultz, I'll
Well, we
make
should
a
really-
motion to approve and authorize the board to sign resolution 77-2020 entitled Resolution Requesting Reimbursement from the Iowa COVID-19 Government Relief Fund.
Okay, we got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion?
Who does this go to, Matt? Does this go to the Secretary of State, or where's this gotta go to?
This goes, it gets submitted online to whoever's running the CARES funding reimbursement piece of it.
Is it part of the Homeland Security then?
No, they hired that private contractor accounting firm that's running this.
Okay, so I just wanna make sure that they get this resolution and then they say, yeah, your resolution is fine, or no, you need to change, or something's not, you know. So do we have someone we can contact there and talk to?
Not right now,
Okay. So we'll get a receipt showing that they received this?
I don't even know that we'll get a receipt showing that they
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah.
We will, they'll assign a liaison to work with us once we submit our application.
Okay, and they can tell us?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
They'll go through the details.
Okay.
Okay, motion second, roll call please.
Chairman Schultz.
Aye.
Supervisors Roby.
Yes.
Wickman. Aye. Drake.
Aye.
And Bell.
Aye.
Motion carried. While we're passing it around, we can get started on the next one. Again, we have Matt here, Director of Planning and Development. This is the second consideration of ordinance number 2020-03. An ordinance to adopt Chapter 12, all-terrain and off-road vehicles, an ordinance to identify regulations regarding all-terrain vehicles and/or off-road utility vehicles operation on all approved county roads, and to adopt said ordinance 2020-03 into law. So I wrote first, you want
So, what's that?
go ahead.
I was just gonna make a motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve, is there a second?
Second?
Got a motion to second, any discussion?
Yeah, Matt, what, did you have a comment?
Was, are these two numbers right, or was there, scheduled fees that we were supposed to approve too?
The schedule of fees will be put on next week's agenda for the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
It was, Pam had sent it in, but it got missed for the draft agenda, so then, we're just gonna put it on.
Okay. Okay.
If we adopt this into law, Matt, without a schedule of fees, is it legal now to ride an ATV on our roads?
No, we still have to go through the publication of it and then the recording of it, which happens on
10th and 11th.
10th and 11th. September 10th and 11th. So it gets recorded September 11th. Everybody should be ready to go by September 11th. And that's one thing I haven't seen, I haven't heard from anybody, and I don't know who the board wants to task to be responsible with this, but the application process, I haven't seen anything on that yet, which I know originally discussion was it's gonna go through the recorder's office.
Yep.
And that might be something that you guys push out publicly, so that way you don't wind up with a bunch of people coming in and going down to the, waiting in line at the treasurer's office, and then finding out from the treasurer that they have to come upstairs to the recorder's office. And just making sure that recorder has the applications ready to go with some kind of identifiable sticker. You know, if they're gonna make them fill out an application, then what are they gonna issue them? What kind of certificate are they gonna issue them, and what kind of marking? I haven't seen any of that, but.
He's got it.
Who has it?
Mark. Mark's got it. We have the recorder do it.
Yeah, I
haven't
mean, as
seen
far
the
as
application.
publicizing it though, we should probably just, is that what you're saying, is that what you're alluding to here, is the publication of it, like how we're getting this out to the people?
Yeah, you may wanna think that through. How are we gonna
Press release or
advertise that
something.
out?
Put it on the website.
Yeah, we'll do a press release and I'll put some.
Social media and stuff on it too,
I mean,
September
there's,
11th.
because there's been people already up there,
asking about it.
yeah,
There is he does have an application, Scott?
Yeah. that's my understanding.
Have you seen it?
I have not, but I mean, DNR has one, I mean, I'm sure that's what he's gonna use. I mean, that's what my understanding was.
Maybe we need to see if we can get Mark in here to see what he wants to do.
Well, we can do that on the next meeting.
Yeah.
I was curious, I apologize, I was gone from military last week, but was there any discussion on use of helmets? Because I know there's some discussion on seatbelt. Basically, if the manufacturer recommended it, then that's what you should do on it. Are we saying that as well for?
We don't have a helmet.
We don't on motorcycles, but I was
Is it
curious, if we're
law?
gonna say the manufacturer recommends. If we're defaulting to the manufacturer recommendation on the seatbelt, should we be doing the same thing on the helmet, I guess is my question. Or do we not mess with
I
it?
don't know that we have that authority.
But I mean, do we even have it on the seatbelt? I mean,
Oh, yeah, state law.
how do you do that on a four-wheeler then?
What's that? If it's not, it doesn't come with one,
Yeah,
you don't. But the four-wheeler, if you're a private individual in the four-wheeler, you got, make sure you got road use tires on it,
yeah, the tires and the lights and all that.
yeah.
Okay, no, just wanted to ask.
Well, we
Someone
had,
asked that of me and I'm like, well, I don't.
we had a pretty good discussion on this last time, and, I think the general consensus of the board was that, we'll give this thing a shot for a year, and if there's anything that we need to amend or adjust, we'll do that. So,
Exactly.
Well, we're going into, you know, it's probably gonna be, you know, October, so I don't know, we won't really see a whole bunch until the spike of probably next spring, if there is one. And, I mean.
We'll see him as soon as it snows.
I'm not sure about that. But, you know,
it's a good thing.
they're not, I mean, you gotta have some financial wherewithal to have some of these.
Yeah.
You know,
Got a motion and a second on that, Chairman.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a motion and a second,
Chairman Schultz,
aye.
Supervisors Groby, Wickman,
Aye.
Drake,
Aye.
and Belt.
right?
That was it.
All right. No, I think this will be a good thing. I think it'll make it, make me legal when I'm driving up and down Mr. Spring, plow my neighbor's driveway too.
Tried to put something in there to eliminate you from being able to do that. but I just couldn't find it.
Turn it up.
Next we got John Rasmussen, engineer. Discussion decision to approve project BRS SWAP CO 78199 FS 78 PCV culvert replacement, twin box James 05 for construction and authorization for chairman to sign the said cover sheet.
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, go ahead.
Got a motion, and it's got a motion by Mr. Wickman and a second by Mr. Belt.
This is the second I will do it, Bill.
Right, so last week I had you approve the funding agreement. This week I need to have you guys sign my cover sheet, and a week or two I'll have right-of-way contracts.
Oh,
We'll be done
okay.
with this one, so.
John, is there something I gotta sign?
Can I bring you my original, because I have to scan these?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think it folds up.
So, with that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
Actually, there's a signature block on yours.
Oh,
Just top one.
Yeah, you can-
I'll take it from my
Is
leg.
everyone gonna sign?
Yeah, you're.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was set on 53 degrees.
Oh.
I want to talk with you.
A little chilly in here. Thank you for the cover up.
We get some complaints on Mongo.
Yeah, we had,
Got real hot and
we
oil.
got hot and the oil came up. Yeah, we had a rough weekend.
Is it
Came
good
in
now
works.
though? Did you guys fix it?
Yeah. We had to come back in on Sunday.
Yeah, the city council just loves to remind me every day.
Is that your blanket?
You shouldn't be out there.
I tell them. I
No,
just said,
I'll
well,
leave it
fine,
here
you're
for
out
the
of
next.
there.
Really, do you want to sign?
Yes, thank you. Just the top one?
I don't know if you guys saw my email, there'll be a ribbon cutting on Eastern Hills Drive if you guys are.
Yeah,
When?
you're gonna send an invite out on that, email invite?
I don't know when, it'll just be the end of this month is all I know right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
we have
I'll
Tina,
be there.
we have Tina send an invite to all of us?
Yeah.
Please, calendar invite?
When I know when it is, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure would. Yeah, I saw that stoplight.
Very sky, it's stuck at the end of the bottom.
Not until it's got that, it really won't happen.
What are we celebrating?
Well, it'll be a ribbon cutting for Eastern Hills
Is
Drive.
this,
On Highway 92.
Yeah.
For what?
It's the new road that they put,
Okay.
that connects State Orchard to 92, more or less.
You know, that first, your first turn east of the Lewis Township Fire Station? Yeah, that new road right there.
Yeah, down at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, we had to see.
Goes up by the airport.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Okay, next we have Jana, Director of Human Resources, discussion on compensation philosophy related to the comp and wage study at Baker Tilly.
Morning.
Morning.
So Baker Tilly provided us, you're welcome, a presentation. The compensation committee met last week and Baker Tilly gave us a little bit of training on what a compensation philosophy is, because that's really one of the next steps for this project. So I'm just gonna go over the presentation very quickly with you, and actually I've cut some pieces out just for the sake of time. But first, on that first page you see there where it says study progress review, they're just giving us an update on the things that they've completed and where we are now. So at the very bottom bullet you see where we need to establish a compensation philosophy and implementation costing. And again, that implementation costing we'll be talking about in closed session. So what is a comp philosophy? It's really a statement to say how the organization is committed to their employees and how they're going to pay them. It's not getting into the very, very details of pay administration. That's what the pay administration policy is. But it's really a general, broad statement to say, this is where we'd like to be. This is how we want to pay our employees. The goal is to attract, retain, and motivate for employees. You know, Baker Tilly wanted to point out that for companies in the private sector, this usually requires a competitive pay philosophy. For those of us in the public sector, because we don't always have the funds, we're not making profit like someone in the private sector, we need to have total rewards. So we need to talk about our compensation, which is our base pay, and our benefits as well, because we give such a generous benefit package. A good compensation philosophy should, of course, support the organization's business goals and objectives while still being competitive with the market. On the next page, why is compensation philosophy necessary? Baker Tilly provided some data in there and some reporting that they found, but in general, it's demonstrating our commitment to the employees, that this is what we intend for your pay. It's a good way to retain employees as well, and it has an impact on employee satisfaction. It also ensures equal pay. So with this comp philosophy, we want to make sure that we're paying equal pay for equal work and not violating any labor laws, of course. What should be included in the comp philosophy? Again, it's a broad statement of what the organization believes about how our employees should be paid. Baker Tilly recommends that it talks about our position relative to market. So if we take a look at the market data that they've pulled, do we want to be on par with market? Do we want to lead it, so be above market? Do we want to lag it and kind of fall behind and trend it? And then what's the definition of our market? Do we have any rewards that we want to include? How are jobs valued? Are they internally valued or externally valued? And then the pay administration would come in a separate policy. As far as getting started in this, which has kind of that little funnel looking picture on there, they talk about the financial ability. So of course, throughout this whole thing, we also want to make sure that our comp philosophy recognizes that our financial ability. We'd love to lead the market, right, and pay our employees, the highest that we could, but we have to be financially stable too, and we have to make sure that that piece is in it. How to write a compensation philosophy. I'm not going to go read that one because that's just a little bit of a recap about one of the other slides that's in there. And then your second to last page says examples based on known information. So this is really just a very general template that Baker Tilly gave us, that would, if we wanted to fill in the blanks. Pottawatomie County is committed to maintaining a market competitive compensation plan, which is subject to approval by the County Board of Supervisors. It's the county's goal to XYZ. So that last page, what you see is the compensation committee. We have put together a draft compensation philosophy for the county. Now, I'm not asking the board for a decision on this today. I'll put that back on the agenda for a decision because I'd like you to have time to review this, process it, and think about it. But so far, what the compensation committee is recommending is as follows. Pottawatomie County is committed to maintaining a competitive compensation plan in order to recruit, retain, and motivate quality, high-performing employees. We strive to administer pay and benefits that are fiscally responsible, fair and transparent, and free of discrimination while recognizing the fiscal constraints of county government and being responsible to the citizens of Pottawatomie County. Pottawatomie County also provides a generous benefit package to meet the needs of employees and their families. We strive to offer a benefit package that encourages the health and wellness of our employees and their families while taking the necessary measures to control the costs to both the employees and the county. To achieve this strategy, Pottawatomie County will use the following guiding principles. We'd like to review labor market data, evaluating market competitiveness every 2 to 3 years in order to make recommendations for adjustments. Comply with all applicable laws, regulations, and contracts. Evaluate the human capital needs of the organization, including department priorities, and recognizing the county's need for high-performing employees and the taxpayers' expectations of public pay practices.
So I have a quick question. A couple things I want to address, I guess, but the first thing is just, I want to make sure that a philosophy is not a contract. Like, this is not a legally binding document. If we say we're going to try to do this, but we fall short, I don't want union folks to come back and say, oh, you said you're going to do this, and we get sued.
Right. Correct. And when you see the compensation philosophy, we've left the specifics out. So we're not putting in here that we want to lead the market because there might be a year that we can't, right? So it's a broad statement, but you're correct, it's not a contract.
And then the other thing, I mean, you mentioned this a handful of times, and while I agree with, you know, the fact that the public sector needs to have the financial ability, I just would like to remind everyone and you that this board especially, that we've set up the best financials that we've probably in the history of our county. So financially, we're there. So I think, you know, I don't want to discount our efforts in that respect. That, you know, I do think we have the ability to be competitive, and but you know, while I don't want to say it's not a concern, it certainly is a concern. I would say we're on the leading edge of that. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it seems pretty straightforward. I mean, I like the fact that committee is taking a look at this and, you know, put this together for us. We appreciate that a lot. I don't see anything in here that's really stands out.
I think they've done a beautiful job.
So, does anyone else have anything that want to add? Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, next one. Discussion decision to approve fireworks display permit application filed by Connie Ratliff for display on September 12th, 2020. After discussion was held by the board, blah, blah, blah. So we just need a
I'll make that motion.
motion. Okay, got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And any discussion on this one?
The
Like
only discussion I would have is, we can pretty much issue fireworks permits 365 then?
Yeah, so when we do the permitting process, we always have,
Yeah, so we can, all year round, we could issue one,
right, somebody's gonna do a display.
yeah. That's at their residence, right?
Yeah, they had one on the board also.
Right. Said only for 5 minutes, it must be somebody's birthday or something, I'm guessing. Pretty short display,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it says, 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, got a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Hey, I'll make a motion.
They had an event up there,
Pursuant to Iowa Code 20.17 parent 3 for discussion decision on labor negotiations.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Chairman Schultz,
Aye.
Supervisor Wickman,
Aye.
Drake,
Aye.
and Bell.
Alright.
Let's take a 5-minute break before we jump into this. Make sure we get everybody, like Mr.